So once you've cut your 120 millimeter in length, 100 by 5 mil plate, for reference, the 100 millimeters, this is where our trolley carriage bearing carrier sits. It sits across the 100 millimeters with the 120 millimeter span each side. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our digital veneers and open it up, guys, to 12 millimeters. Oh, this is like, you know, those raffles that you go to sometimes. Oh, mate. Righto, I'm leaving it at that. I'm calling it. Okay, 12 millimeters. Now, that's the 100 millimeters. This is our 120. We're going down this way, all right? Both sides, we're going to scribe in a 12 millimeter line. On both sides. Boy, you really got to get the angle on this sucker. There we go, 12 millimeters. Obviously, guys, that's only going to be as straight as your cuts, all right? If you've done a crooked cut, you're going to have a crooked line. Now, you're doing this for all of your pieces. What I'll do is I'll then run my ruler along that line with my scribe holding the ruler very firmly. And I'll scribe in an even better line. Now we're going to get our scribe again. Right, and we're going to set this up for 20 millimeters. Now, across those 12 millimeter lines that we've scribed in, guys, we're going to mark across that line, scribe in a 20 millimeter mark. Okay, and that's where we'll be punching and drilling. And we'll be punching this and drilling this with a finishing hole diameter of 12 millimeters. So that's a big drill bit, guys, okay? So you're definitely going to need to pilot that one. I'm going to drill these with a 7 millimeter drill bit as my pilot, then to my 12 millimeter diameter hole with lubricant for both of those drill bits through the drilling process. So you guys know what you need to do. Punch now, guys, where those lines intersect. All right, on each piece. 7 mil pilot, 12 mil diameter, twist bit finishing size. I'm pretty sure I don't need to say another thing. You know the routine. We're going to get the mill scale cleaned off both sides of our plate. Hopefully, guys, you had no issues there getting them drilled. There's no doubts it is a pain in the ass having to get all that mill scale off, guys. It just takes time. You just have to get in the zone. I find that this guy works a lot better if you just keep rotating it right as you do this. And what I'll normally do, okay, I'll normally work in zones. So I'll just do a half, work in that, then flip it around, do that half. Don't forget, guys, to do the edges, all right? Remember, we're painting these, so we want to get all that mill scale off, or your paint will fail and it'll just all flake off. It'll look terrible. So make sure you do get them back to metal. We will be talking about all the techniques for painting. I found a great new product, which is a 2-in-1. It's a paint and primer all in one, and it can be put on to primer or onto bare metal. Straight onto bare metal, straight onto primer. It's gold. It'll save you one step in the process of painting your rig, especially your bare metal and your primed. Normally, guys, prime's okay because it's just a top coat. You put on that. But we're going to have bits of stuff that are primed and shiny metal. And normally you have to etch prime with an acid-based etch primer, anything that's back to bare metal, and then a top coat after that, couple of top coats. This stuff is 2-in-1 by a company called Dulux. We'll go through that anyway, guys, when it comes time to paint this, which is not too far away now. I'll take you through all the steps to painting your metal. Okay, guys, get your veneers set to 32.8. So set that to 32.8 and then scribe that in both sides. Okay, guys, once you've scribed those in, you're going to line up your 40 by 40 with those lines. Take your time. A little bit tricky to see because I'll be just on the inside of where the actual angle contacts the plate. And you can always check that it's square, guys, with a square. Funnily enough. Again, though, this is only going to be as good as your cuts on both your angle and, of course, your plate. So you can cross-reference that, guys. Now, we're going to need to clamp this, all right? So you'll need to get it on an edge of the table so then you can get your F clamp over and just clamp it on the top. Now, I'm going to be able to use my little insert clamps to do this, which I'll be doing. We'll clamp it, guys, and we will weld this 3 good beads to finish with, all right? Sort of 20mm long beads, both sides, but we'll do the usual. We'll tack diagonally when it's clamped first. Now we're going to get lots of beads lots of beading and ball bearings when we do this because we've got beautiful clean metal. It's a bit annoying, but what I am going to recommend that you do on this occasion, because it's going to be very hard to clean up those beads with these bolts in place, use your canola cooking oil. It's going to add one more step of cleanup afterwards, and generally I don't do this when I'm painting something, but because of the threads here, and I need to protect these threads anyway. Now I could roll a few nuts on and do it that way and then weld. I'm just going to use my canola oil on this section. I'll be able to get my flap disc on the plate, but it'll be too hard to get in here. So I'm just going to spray my canola oil on my angle before I start to weld. Then I'm going to do my welding, and then all will be good in the world. So yeah, guys, just take your time getting that lined up on those lines. I've got mine clamped with my fandangled vice clamp here, and I'm ready to weld this sucker in place. So yes, guys, with minimum fuss, you should be able to get most of the beading off these guys. Now, the other thing you're going to have to do, guys, is pay special attention to your bolt holes here. They will be full of beads. I don't know if you can see these. You'll need to get your round file and clean out these as well, all right? Otherwise, your bolts will not pass through this. You will not pass. There's a very stubborn bead there. That will have to come off with the... there's just one there I can't get off. I'll hit that with the sandpaper disc. Otherwise, guys, it's virtually bead free. So, ye old cooking canola. Cheers. Okay, let's put one of these carriage ways together. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? So guys, this material that we're using here is an M12 threaded rod. We don't put a washer in the jam nut section here, only a washer on the outside. And that way we've got enough thread to have a full nut length of thread through our bottom nut, but we don't have excessive rod sticking out for us to snag ourselves on or to snag somebody else, so forth and so on. Now, something I've just realised, guys, I've rushed ahead a bit here. We should get our bearings on. Now, our bearings go on quite simply, guys, but you need to put a spacer on the angle face, all right? A washer, right? These are the M10 washers that I recommended that you get. Now, when you put these on, when these are machined, they've got a rough surface and a smooth surface. Put the smooth surface to the bearing and the rough surface to your angle, okay? I really should not drink and do videos. It's bad. It's poor form. I've only had one beer because I've had no lunch and I've been going all day. I'm pissed as a fart. All right, so this is how our bearings go on our little trolley carriage. Now, keeping in mind, guys, our bearings are rated at 244 kilograms each. They pack a fair bit of punch combined in this little configuration. So we're not going to kill these bearings anytime soon. But we do have heavy-duty rail and heavy-duty trolley carriage here. Now, if the worst case scenario ever came about and these were a bit too noisy or whatever, or they just... Now, even with our canola there, I can feel I must have a bit of beating on this, because that nut is just not running. Can't feel anything. There's something there that's inhibiting the start of this. I'll see if I can get it going with a spanner. So this, you can see, guys, how annoying this would be if you didn't get some of that anti-weld splatter, or our black and gold. Black and gold in Australia, by the way, guys, is a budget. It's a budget grocery. So that was pretty cheap for that can of canola oil, and it does a pretty good job of keeping the weld off our critical components. So yes, you'll need to have an M10 washer behind the bearing. We just do these up firm. What we'll do when we do this in earnest, guys, is I will be running some Loctite, all right, some high strength Loctite on the thread here. So these will all come off again, obviously, when this gets painted. I'm not going to have the bearings on when it gets painted. Oh, Doctor, you're a bad example to the public. That's what you are, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Right, like I say, they will come off. When they go back on, they'll be going on with some high strength Loctite. So then they don't go anywhere. We won't have enough thread, guys, as you can see. The thread on the bearings is exactly where it needs to be from the nut. If you put a washer on this side, you won't get enough thread on your nut for it to be ample strength. This is going to be under a fair bit of load. This little trolley. This little trolley. Now what I'm going to aim to do, guys, is the two furthest bearings apart, I'm going to run them in the top of the rail, okay? And the little short ones, the ones that are closer in proximity, they're going to run underneath, because we're going to be having weight pressing down on this carriage more frequently than it is the other way around. Mainly, we're going to see a reversal in the load on this trolley when, obviously, when the sim is in roll mode, okay, and we're rolling, and it's going to have to resist the side load. But this is why this is such a great setup, and with this 3mm angle, okay, I don't know if I've mentioned this, forgive me guys, like I said, I've had a couple of drinks, and the doctor can tend to repeat himself an awful lot, and even more so if he's been drinking. We have a very thick setup here in the corner. So where angle is smelted and rolled out in the machines, in the metal, in the metal factories, okay? What do they call that? I can't remember. But anyway, it's very thick right in the corner. And so you'll have nearly 4mm of material in there. Same with where your bearings are on here. It gets much thicker as it gets to the corner here. Right, that's one half on. Now, hopefully this other half has cooled down. And if it has, oh, it's got a bit of warmth in it, but that's fine. So this time I'm going to put my bearings on first. Rough side to the face, then the bearing, then the nuts. I think what happened there, guys, is I've been a little bit incompetent, and I've left those nuts over there near where we've been welding. That's the issue here. And these nuts may have got these nuts have copped a bit of slag. That's the problem. It's not actually the threads. So there you go. You know, just one little bit of a, you just don't think about one thing and it can really bring you unstuck with a lot of other things. Isn't that just the way that it is in life? The doctor could, you know, have a whole YouTube series on all of his philosophical. Yeah, so this one's a bit tight. Really should get my socket. I've got a socket set up on my driver, the right size for this, and here I am with a shifting spanner. I mean, what does that tell you? Well, I don't want to know, okay, because I'm building this, and I'm showing you how to build it, so you should be bloody grateful that I'm even doing this. So I don't need your opinion on me using a shifting spanner versus a socket. I've got a socket and a driver, okay? I'm no idiot when it comes to spanners and stuff like that. I've rebuilt a muscle car from the ground up. Right, obviously, guys, these have to face each other. And then there'll be a little bit of leveling, etc. Okay, and that's a part of getting, that's a part of how this actually gets itself sorted out. So what I generally do to start with is on this side, just to get it roughed in, is I'll get a full nut onto a full nut's worth of thread to the top of the nut. But anyway, I'm going to rough this in. I'll soon know when I go to put it on the rail, because it'll be too tight. This is the process for basically setting this up initially. And then you'll need to tweak this, guys. A, for squaring, all right? So this setup will enable you to get these within reason, because we're not using a fine thread. They're a coarse thread. Couldn't find any fine thread. That would have been better, because it would have given us a more finite, I don't know what the word for that is. It would have given us closer and more precise adjustments. Let's go with that word, precise. So many words, you know, that one can try and choose from in the English language. I pity anyone trying to learn English, especially Australian English. Good God, you've got your work cut out for you. Right. Like I said, guys, we'll run our two spread bearings at the top. Now, I better just move the camera to make sure you can see me inserting this. Yeah, you can anyway, so that's great. Rightio. Okay, so that's, oh no, that's going. I thought that may have been a little bit tight. It's always a little bit tight at the start. I'm just going to back this one off a bit. There we go. And there you have it, guys. You have your little trolley rail system, which will take our front motor mount at this end. This is the front of the rig. And then it's just going to be a matter of checking. You can look down, straight down, and look at your bearings to see if they're sitting flat or they're on an angle and running on the edges. At the moment, this is running flat. And ultimately, we want a scenario where our bearings are not too tight. We don't have too much preload on them. Okay, that's going to wear them out faster, and it's going to track our trolley rail faster, okay? We don't want that. So we've got an immense amount of... now, the limitation, guys, is our front pivot caster and the trolley rail coming back and the M12 rod connecting that. Hitting on that. Okay, that's our limitation as far as how far we can go back. Now, remember, the measurements are basically where this is going to sit centered, and then it's the movement each side, all right? It's not the overall movement like this. That can be a little bit misleading, all right? Because obviously it's got to move an equal amount of distance each side. So we'll work that out soon. I've got to work that out, guys. I've got some measurements basically in here from when I was roughing stuff up. But that's it, guys, in a nutshell, really, about how our trolley goes together, how it works. It's a very sturdy, okay? It's a very strong setup. Oh, I can hear someone getting excited next door. We're only a couple of days away from Christmas here, guys. It's virtually Christmas Eve. And I've got a few things happening. I'm going to a theatre production tonight, which will be fun with the wife. Seeing some Christmas theatre production. Going out for Vietnamese. Oh, I do love that Vietnamese. And, you know, we're having an early Christmas tomorrow because not all of the family can do Christmas Day. But that's good, guys, because that's going to free me up for the other days to keep going with this. Because that is Christmas for me. Got to get the other one made. So it's rinse and repeat with trolley number 2, guys. You're just doing exactly the same thing, obviously, for both trolleys. And once they're on, we set up our connection, which will be a removable system. So then our front motor mount will go on some plate. All right, guys, I have bloody dribbled on for long enough. Thanks for tuning in. You guys stay safe, stay healthy, take it easy out there.